Bing, bing. We're live, Sam Michael. Website One stuff. What has been going on? You've been busy. What have I done with? Have I lost now all of my things? That's a browser window over there. Or my name's not. Oh, whatever. Okay. Anyway, we're here, there. Well, just John Rafrano, who's a massive mentor, has just been saying about how he thinks ZenHub is even better than Waffle, which is interesting.
Okay.
Point of view. Well, particularly given that I'm the only one using Waffle. And I have to say, I find going there not as helpful as going to the GitHub issues for that one. But so yeah, you fixed something just a little while ago. What did you? Yeah, so the members page. Well, I'll bring over the members page here. Was this project involvement recently online filtering what's it was showing up strangely?
Yes.
And you fixed that, and that got merged.
Yes.
Showing
up on production.
Okay, and I guess we don't understand why it was showing up sometimes and not others.
I think it was the length of. I'm not sure why it didn't show up for you on production, but
yeah,
it was the fact that the project filter select was auto width at that screen size, and then depending on that means it takes as natural width. So depending on how long the project
name was,
it would get too big. Basically.
Okay.
So what I did was I just confined it to 100% of its enclosing space.
Cool.
So you'll see now, if you click on it, some of the longer names say like
yeah.
It expands wider.
Yeah. Great.
So that fixed that issue.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, and the thing I did that Thomas also bringing up was the fact that a lot of people were not geocoded, and I have geocoded everybody.
Okay.
For the love of geocoding. And so I have generated a new task related to that, which is like, having a rate task that does that automatically at some frequency. I mean, to be honest, actually, it could just do it when people, like, it could be linked in. It didn't have to be a task. Well, anyway. So, well, great for getting that fix in. I think I saw Thomas in the Scrum this morning. He was worried like that we had set it up so that this number was being calculated on the fly, and that was destroying the system. It's not, as you and I both know, and the page was loading reasonably speedily for me early on, and it's not ideal. I mean, yeah.
I think pagination or infinite scroll might make sense.
Yeah.
It's loading so many records.
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
It's going to be slow.
Yeah, well, and I think we have performance issues through the site. So we've got
get some kind of hardcore caching. That there are options maybe with caching.
Yeah. Either way, the it's looking. We don't
really use a lot. We don't really use like any like
caching
you have to write code for.
No. Well, I mean, I think we could sort of do. I mean, I think both the members page, the projects page, the events page is pretty speedy. I think that loads reasonably. And we could probably do with. Yeah. Let's see. I mean, we could probably do with. Well, yeah, I guess the members page is probably the slowest now. I mean, not that that's changed as a result of any changes we've made. I think it's continuing to be slow. Anyway. We've got. I was sort of worried that after the CSS complexities of yesterday, that there was going to be all sorts of side effects in the site. We're not seeing any yet, so it looks okay, and that's very pleasing. And yeah, we have much to Federico's dismay, even though it doesn't mention the word. I forgot what the word is.
There's no word for it. But...
Karma. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a big step in the right direction. There's lots more to do, but it's a big step in the right direction.
I think we can continue to. I thought about it. can continue to be vague about the name.
Yeah. Yes.
We like, for instance, I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like here, I mean. Agile Ventures premium numbers. So it loads fast. So like for here,
Yeah.
how we were discussing over here in the activities feed. So like it would say, like, see, this adds up to 548 commits, right?
Uh-huh.
Like we could have a dash here.
Uh-huh.
See, I can't actually edit that, can I?
Yeah, I think you can.
HTML. I imagine it would be like dash 148 commits. Dash. Like, but instead of the karma, it would have that icon.
Yeah, right.
Something like that.
Yeah, indeed. So people can, like, project their own idea onto it.
So it'd say like 548, and then have that little flame.
Uh-huh.
And then I imagine we would have below that, it would say skills,
Mm-hmm.
For instance, it would say it would say Gmail authentication dash,
Yeah.
100 flame.
Absolutely.
And then it would say, and then if you didn't have any of those things, like say someone didn't have their Gmail hooked up.
Yeah.
It would say Gmail dash, some kind of message that would say like.
Yeah, it would basically say
Gmail
hookup absent.
You can gain 100 flame by,
Right.
by authentic, hooking up your Gmail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then ultimately, it would say like click here or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in context help, like where they could just click there and get to where they need to go.
Yeah. So I'll just create a ticket for that, which is like.
So we could just roll that out today.
We could do if we focused on that. Yeah. Yes. Explain what that comes from. Show something on user page to indicate how we are creating karma.
Unless you want to work on the project scope ideas.
Well, I mean, I think if shall we just do a review of some of the other items here? So Thomas is pointing out some people that he thinks are fake users. We've got a ticket there for the users being loaded. I've got a link to Thomas apparently has a user pagination branch, although that's going to be so long ago. I'm not sure how useful that's going to be. It's always good to have a reference. We haven't had anybody else start scrums recently. We talked Google Plus Hangouts, solicit the feedback from users. As I mentioned to you, yeah, I noticed that of course Thomas was in the scrum this morning, that pop-up that we're doing, it's only appearing to the person who actually started the Hangout, which basically makes it less useful than we had hoped. So anyway, let's see what Mr. Siderio says there. Yes, the problem is AdBlock Plus extension. It's like a Google products conflict with the extension. Okay. So.
Well, there's not much we can do about that.
Yeah. Okay. So glad to have got to the bottom of this. Preparing. Woo. Okay. So. All right. So yeah. Yeah. Certainly. I mean, there's sorting out the. I mean, there's the performance issue. I mean, it would be. I think it's that would be a clear win to just put on the user page that. I mean, the thing I was going to say there about if we take an individual user, Yeah, maybe we shouldn't care. I think this tabbing approach basically means that the majority of people are just not going to notice these things.
Yeah.
We probably don't care about that in the first instance, because the people that, in the first instance, just having something somewhere that somebody can refer to, is useful. At the moment, having to explain in detail, this. Yeah.
We could make it linkable, from the karma icon on the front page.
Yeah. Yes. That. Oh, yeah. That would be good. I mean, we've also got this thing that the tag here says undefined for some reason.
Yeah.
We don't want to get too carried away with all the different things. I mean, I guess what I was going to point out here is just how, I noticed that these guys, I mean, actually Stack Overflow, so like in Code War, they just have all the stuff is just there in the page, and you scroll down to see it. In Stack Overflow, they do have these things, but they, still, like, the majority of the stuff is there. Like this is then, seeing your public profile. Oh, I'm in the top 15% this week.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if that means anything. It basically means they have a huge tail of people who are not
using.
Well, there's like hundreds of them who are signed up and don't do anything. Like the fact that I ask questions, this week probably puts me at the. Yeah, but so they're. This is Agile Ventures. Yeah, they've got these tabs basically for doing editing and seeing how other people see it. Whereas, like all this information about what's going on with you is just there and it's just available. But yeah, I mean, in the first instance, the low hanging fruit, the simple thing is just improve this so that we see a stronger indication of where the flames are coming from.
Correct. So you want to drive on that?
I would like you to drive on that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Mainly because I must get these. Yeah. So we reviewed the issues there. I mean, the performance thing is one. There's also, I mean, I guess having got this, my wanting to buy it more like you, I'd love to get on now to the project scope thing. Like I haven't had any further input from. This is the danger of using I forgot what it's called. Slack to communicate with Armando. Is he has Slack periods and then he disappears. What am I going to say? I mean, what he has done with Project Scope is he's pulled Project Scope
into the repo under Slack.
Yeah, that's right. Which I haven't actually looked at yet. I mean, I think he sensibly doesn't want, necessarily want things to be attached, or has he moved? Right, and so my single fork now comes into there. Okay, fair enough.
Oh,
go on.
I was wondering, before you leave for Japan.
Yes.
Should we go through making sure that Doral and I have access to everything?
We certainly could do that.
Even, for instance, that Google side account thing that you can control website one Hangout connection app with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Thomas has all of the same things as me.
Right.
So, but yeah, we could certainly try and do that next week.
But I guess it's a question of how available Thomas will be or whatever.
I mean, what are you? Specifically, that's the Hangout connection stuff that you're worried about.
all kinds of stuff. Just
Yeah. Okay.
going through so that we
Mm-hmm.
Raul,
Yeah.
Raul and I can also just.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that Raul, like when you go to Japan,
Yeah.
Raul and I will be the two most active people
Yeah.
for the infrastructure of Agile.
Indeed. Yeah. It would be good to make sure that you're both.
If we had permissions on everything,
Yeah. We'll just
roll out anything that we had developed or whatever.
Yeah.
That Raul and I decided was a good idea to roll out. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I'll be available via email and Slack, for things. But yes. Avoid truck count of 1. Yes. I put that as a new issue. What I was going to say about the project scope thing is, like, I think that what the thing to do is if we just kind of went like there's basically here there's test coverage, which I think we can also get directly from. That's like I think it would be a fairly trivial thing to adjust our existing gem to do coverage as well as this GPA.
Okay.
And then there's like pull request people trackers. Like I think if we had, little gems for each of these things, right, then it would be relatively trivial to assemble the functionality that's needed into some new thing that doesn't have this legacy code base, or just add them to Agile Ventures. So I'm kind of excited, but it's also about creating like a microservices,
Right.
moving to having lots of small projects. So anyway, but that's yeah, that's it. I just want to mention those things. Yeah, well, why don't you drive on this issue? Explain where site credits from. If you just start on that 1228. And that will just allow me to. It's like it's an annoyingly trivial thing that I've got to do in the background, but I just got to copy and paste these. I've got a series of pairing peer review issues that have to be copied and pasted into the pivotal tracker.
Are we going to test drive this or just spike it for right now?
Well, I think that this one we could. There's probably like existing. I would go for the cucumber with this one.
Okay.
Because we'd like this to actually,
right,
like look correct, like the
All right. I'll be back in like a couple minutes. I'm gonna get a drink and go to the bathroom.
Okay.
But I'll be back in like 5 minutes or less. Probably less.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, back.
Hey.
Just gonna go in and look at this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, I mean, obviously it would be fairly simple to spike. I mean, I think we want to be, it'd be nice if we haven't looked at the user stories cucumbers at all. Nice to.
First presenter. So here's where that is.
Presenter contributed. That's the activity pane, right?
Mm-hmm. Tab pane, some kind of.
Is that bootstrap thing?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah. It is with the bootstrappy thing.
Yeah.
Now if I go look at my features under users.
Oh God, what's the name of that thing that requires anonymity for students in the US? Is it called ARFA or something? No, LAWFA. What's that thing? What's it called?
Something. Students.
FERPA. That's it. FERPA. Yeah.
FERPA. This is why we don't get anything done, because Marion sends me Pokemon images.
Well, we can. That's a sort of getting things done.
Not really. So skills. Okay.
Is there an activity skills feature?
So we can see that he can click on skills and then see stuff.
Right. Is there not anything? Do you search the users directory for anything related to activity?
No occurrence of the word activity. What about activities? Oh, that's kind of complicated. No, and I don't see a top level feature named it.
No, well, Yeah. The first thing might be to just make one.
Yeah.
As a sort of copy of the skills feature, just to check that we've got the existing functionality covered.
Mm-hmm. Huh. This is a question of how to set up a user. What does attribute? So actually other stuff. Okay. So if we know contribution, where are we getting contributions from?
Contributions are from the GitHub commit counts.
There's actually a commit count model.
There is.
And when is this like?
So it's like there's a commit GitHub task that's run in the background and like daily. And so yeah, it runs run every day and then data is inserted into it.
Okay. So basically one way of doing this would be to actually create a commit count. Right.
Yes. I mean, we do have, there's like a DevOps feature, which I think if you look in the DevOps folder there in features, yeah, there, GitHub commits feature. I think, right, that maybe only checks stuff like the general commit counts rather than the individuals here. Maybe it's simpler to just create a few commit counts.
Okay, so we need to have projects, obviously.
Yeah, they do seem to be linked up that way.
We have a user, we have projects, and the following commit models. Commit counts exist. I guess there's no.
I mean, that just runs the rake task. And I think that's assuming that the VCR, like it's going to hit.
Yeah, a snapshot of it at some point in time.
I mean, we do. If you move it into a different thing, though, I think it'll hit the actual real thing once and then record it, assuming we have VCR in the activity.
It will fail because the commit counts will probably be different.
Right. So you don't want to check for those commit counts particularly.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking. I don't think there's any step that actually lets me create a commit count.
No, maybe not.
Search in here, find in path, commits. No, there isn't. So I could create a commit count steps feature. What do you think? Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, they may have all the bits of RSpec that you need in the commit count model spec, possibly. Not that we necessarily want to copy from there. But...
Okay. Let me go in here. Let's look it up. So I guess I'll look up project user, look in the DB and see what. Is there a factory girl? Section on their commit counts. Project ID and a user ID. Okay. Website 2 user. Did I add a commit count step?
I thought you did. Did it go in a different place? Sometimes that needs to be refreshed.
Sometimes it needs to be what?
Oh, the RubyMine needs to be synced to the environment. Oh, but there, I mean, I'm not seeing it in that list.
So what do I do?
I mean, you can go to the app, like within the project window there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you scroll up to the top, like or website 1, if you right click on website 1 itself, there is like a synchronize website 1 thing about 2/3 of the way down, which should synchronize the file system. So if that commit counts was created in that directory, then in principle that would now allow you to create it in there. I mean, you might check the step, like if the website 1's view under step definitions to see if commit count steps appears there or if it accidentally got created in the wrong directory.
Look, it's feature step definitions, commit count steps.rb.
Oh, it's definitely there. Okay. So yeah, now if you try the
Now it's just a matter of getting this stupid
thing to appear, yeah. You can try running the feature instead if you're sick of that, which is perfectly reasonable.
Why is it so complicated?
Yes. Well, Brian, maybe I guess maybe we might have to take a leap into Vim at some point. Not that necessarily reduce our complexity, but anyway.
You can go faster, faster, faster.
Faster.
Okay, that's weird. Oh, because there's no scenario, right?
Uh-huh.
No, is it what's? Oh no. Create step definition. Still don't see it.
It's annoying that it's not. Well, even it's not. It's the 0 scenarios.
I need to actually know.
Oh, a basic.
Yeah.
There you go.
What are you doing? Why are you taking forever? Why is it hanging? Oh.
This is an argument for God, all this, that, and the other.
What?
Like, well, I guess there's an argument for, like, if we were running Cucumber with guard, then it would like always be running in the background, and then it would like kick off, and we would, you know, it would auto run, and we would get that automatically without having to wait for Cucumber to start up each time.
I think it's actually starting up the Rails app is the problem.
Right. So the guy, I think that I don't know. The suggestion is that maybe that by having guard would like keep the Rails app running in the background.
Yeah, probably. So we have to restart it all the time.
But then we'd have this issue of like, if you want guard, but I want a manual way of firing off the test thing.
There we go. We do that. Continue it, and we do that. Now we look at what's in there. There we go. Bug in there. Continue it. We just rerun it. Oh really? You're gonna do that to me? Stupid pride. Right. So how do we actually build up?
You just do commit count build.
No. I'm looking. For an example of how we actually write the following events exist. That's in some way what we want is actually I should look. Factories. There's a commit count factory. The hell does that mean? Commit. Oh. So is it actually like a single? It's actually a single the DP.
Makes me think that.
Can you stop? There's an integer commit count. Okay. That answers questions. 500, for instance. All right. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say the complexity of it makes me think that it might be easier to pull real data out of thing, capture it with VCR, and then just use real users. But anyway, if you're unblocked, go on.
Project. It's just a matter of plug and chug. User ID. And by email. User email. If user email.
Why are you checking the attributes? Aren't you going to always have those?
Might not. Okay. There we go. That just runs.
Did you?
Oh, I didn't actually say it. What are you saying?
Oh, I was going to say that you're doing like the hash, and I mean that's not legal Ruby what you've got there at the moment. Well, I don't know. You're like doing. You're making a. Like, look at the red thing in between hash project ID, and then you got a space, and then there's like are you assigning something or yeah?
Well, that makes sense. And then commit. I guess factory girl. What is it? No, screw that.
Do that inside the hat. Do the each loop.
What?
Do you want to credit inside the each loop, or are you going to try and do it with the whole set of hashes?
Gonna be with the whole set of hashes.
Okay.
Because I have a hash on mine too.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Probably title, isn't it?
Okay, so that passed. And what was the... commit count stubs. Email stubs. So what was I looking for? Oh, commit count. Charge activity. Users. It's skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want profile page with user else. How do I straighten this out?
In what way do you want to straighten it out? You still, your audio kind of went weird. Hello?
Hear me?
I do again now. You all right? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so there was like a little. Yeah, you want to straighten it out in what sense?
It's not indented correctly. And
Oh, hold down Option and Command and L.
Option and Command and L.
Here you go.
Okay. I click skills. So I click activity. See if that works. Come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So what does it actually appear as? Oh, it appears as activity. But we don't like that. Interesting.
What's the error that it's getting there? Unable to find link or button activity.
But it does like skills over here.
So we've gone to the profile page for Alice, and I should see a about tab set to active. I want to click activity. Is there some difference in the ID or something between the activity and the skills thing?
The activities and the skills thing.
I mean, if we look at in the page itself, like if you
dash skills, user dash skills, so it must be looking for. Oh,
well, I guess it's looking for the the click. Well, I mean, I would have looked. I would have inspected the thing in the browser to see if they have what the IDs are. Like maybe that the skills thing is set an ID to skills, and the activity one is the ID is set to like activity contributions or something. Maybe like because click has that really weird behavior that it can. Yeah. So it has no ID. It has the word activity, and it has href to the thing. And it was saying it couldn't find a link activity.
I wonder if do I have to add JavaScript, maybe?
Maybe.
Have that over here on this. No, I mean there's no JavaScript on this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably not going to fix it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's going to fail. All right, so that's not working. Here's the HTML.
Hmm.
And we see there is actually no activities.
Is you created the commit count? Is it actually saved?
Should be.
Oh yeah. Maybe there's some other thing that determines whether the activity is displayed or not.
It must be that it has to be set up for that. Do they have to have that project set up, maybe?
Maybe they have to be a member of that project or something? Well, if
let's hold on, just
yeah, look at the view.
Look at the view. Users. So it would be under profile, it would be under summary or something like that. I had this earlier where this was detail. Yeah. So it's getting a presenter.
The contributions count has to be greater than 0.
Well, for there to be an activity pane and all, the presenter has to decide that they contributed. So there's right here on this line.
Indeed, and that's if you put your cursor on it and you hit Command B, you jump to the thing, and it's the contributions count has to be greater than 0, and the contributions count is underneath. But it also I can see in there it says commit count.user following commit count, and so the user has to be following that project.
So how do we follow a project? Does that mean they're a user of it? Like they're...
Yeah, I think they're associated with the... I mean, that seems kind of silly. But well, what I mean is that basically there can be somebody you can have contributed GitHub commits,
but not get counted.
But not get counted because you didn't happen to have set yourself to be a member of that project in Agile Ventures.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
So kind of annoying. So belongs to followable. So how do I follow it?
The project has many access followable. I guess it's probably like, is there a project follow method? I guess.
Project. Get. It's just a bunch of Rails console.
Looking at the access followable gem.
Project.first.
Oh, I think you can do like user.follow project. But you'll need an individual instance of a user rather than a user in general.
User.first, right?
Right.
So for instance, user.first.
.follow project.first.
User dot. What is that going to be now? Oh, user presenter. Commit count. Oh, really? Oh, user. You get back. So presumably, if we just set them to follow it in the step, right?
Mm-hmm. That would sort it out.
Yeah. Where is the step at again? I really hate this.
Yeah, I think you can. Well,
what?
Well, the other way to get, like, you presumably have it, and in the very top right-hand corner, there's a little drop down for all the files that you have open.
All right, so and I also need a user, right? Kind of annoying. So user.follow project, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will
Mm-hmm.
maybe sort it all out.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So that passed now.
Okay.
And I should say, do we really care about wrapping this current?
Well, I mean, now you've got that working, the wrapping the next thing takes, just see whatever the project name is, number of account things.
Well, you're not real. I mean, you're seeing it as a.
I think you can just see text like the project name hyphen number of commits, right?
Well, it's auto-linked, so I don't know whether that's going to affect it.
Yeah, I think it might still see the text for you.
We'll see.
I think that should see goes to have content. We'll see.
Dash 500. commits. Let's see if that works. We're going to give this a name. There, it passed. Scenario. See how commits contribute to fire.
So the other thing, on line 2, you've got the feature so that the feature should have a name as well.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean that you've got the feature here. Yeah, the feature should be like, this is, activities view or whatever it is. It's a common problem that we've got, that often the feature name ends up being like as an admin or as a user, and then the YAML files with yeah.
So that works, and I should see commits dash 500 total commits. Right.
Yes, that's what we
times 1 dash 500. Well, I guess at this point Federico doesn't like it, so we're gonna have to figure out how to put the fire icon in there and have it looked for.
Right. Well, if that's passing, all right, you're now all right. So you're now,
I'm not gonna pass with that because it's not in there.
You're moving on to what the stuff we'd like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, I can just go in there and put it in, right?
Yeah, you could do.
So what would we do? Display, no, it's not here. It's under.
Yeah. I'm happy to pong anytime you want to.
It's under contribution. Yeah, I'll pong after this.
All right.
Contributions. Dash. Okay, and then so all we have is this presenter, right?
Right.
Commit count. Right.
Huh?
What are we looking for? Times 1 dash present user commit count final present. And then you can figure out how to make it. Use the icon. Did you mean commit counts? Commit counts. Counts. Right. It's not showing up, right? What are we saying? Oh.
Some slides.
It's actually a collection process.
Oh, okay. You need count then, doesn't you?
Yeah. And this could be put into a presenter.
Do you see on line 58? I wonder if it needs like commit counts dot commit count or something. Like there's actually, well, I don't know.
That is kind of weird, but
I think because the commit counts ends up being like inside it, like it's the commit count is an entity that is the commit counts of, so the number of them will be the number of projects for which you have, because it'll say like 1 now.
I don't 500. So what is it saying? It's saying less than a minute. 1 total commits times 1.
Because you get it, right? That's counting the number of projects you have commit counts to.
Commit count there, basically. I don't know what you're saying, but
yeah. Well, you're doing the thing that was the
count
consequence of me saying.
What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think that's certainly worth a try. I think that there is. I mean, the thing I was saying is that the commit counts method returns a hash, not hash, sorry, returns an array of things that contain like the number is equal to the number of projects. So it kind of needs to be like.
It needs to be one of those.
It needs to summarize, like in order to get the total, it needs to summarize over the.
It needs to reduce, right?
Right, unless the commit count thing already has, which it doesn't, and it's doing the same thing that I ended up doing in the Karma counter, which is work out the sum of it. If you look in the service, you can see the exact syntax for it.
Initial is going to be 0, right?
Yep.
Memo and something like object, which is object, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then memo plus equals object dot commit count, right? Do you think that?
Yeah, that's what I wrote yesterday, so hopefully it should work today.
Well, you never know.
No, indeed.
We totally refactor too and put it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean we can pull that into the commit count model clearly.
If it even passes, though.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like it's going to pass. Jesus. Mm-hmm. Oh. Because there should be one dash. Should just be one dash.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if that passes now. And this should be a lowercase k. Please just pass. Oh, karma is not showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because it's not an equals. Waste a lot of time iterating through this.
Yeah, I guess the mechanism that I would take is to, yeah, well, I've got a suggestion of how you can make it a lot faster, but you're probably not interested in hearing about it now.
How would you make it a lot faster, actually?
I would, rather than, I would take like the thing that I want as the output,
mm-hmm.
and I would paste that into the file, like the view that I was trying to, do it so that I would be comparing those two in the same sort of window pane environment rather than switching backwards and forwards across I mean, you've done most of it now, so it's not going to help too much, but yeah, right. The thing that we're expecting to find, I think if that was, copied and pasted into a comment on line 53 or what have you, then it might speed up the process of, identifying those small differences.
Yeah, I understand. So it's the difference is that it says contributions. Okay. So what I'll do, I think that's just the test needs to be changed in that case. I get what you're saying though. There we go. That would have saved us like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Indeed.
In the future. There we go.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, full fetch origin. Git. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so the feature that we're running is in users and its activities feature. And it currently includes a record not found. Oh, really? Yeah, so that's passing. And the fans on my computer go woof, woof, woof. Okay. So features, really? Users, activities feature, cancel. Okay. As a site user, in order to find users' activities, I would like to see users' activities feed. Okay. 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 Right.
So you can replace the word karma with the
Indeed.
flame.
Okay. Okay. See how commits contribute to karma. Given I'm on the profile for user Alice, and I should
Then I should see.
I mean, this is actually we don't really care about this in this context, do we?
Not really. It was just copy and paste.
Yeah. I think they have a when I click activity, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I noticed a few things I kind of want to clear up. I mean, in code from yesterday, not just today. But so, yeah, so given I'm a proper version of user Alice, when I click activity, then I should see episode 2 500 commits, and I should see contributions for times 500 karma. Yeah, and I guess we've got, I'll just close everything else, close others. So we've got that. Oh, look at this. We've got a GitHub commit count feature. That would have been nice if we'd found this one earlier, wouldn't it?
What? Oh.
I guess this points to the problem of having inconsistent naming in the domain models. Because we don't have activities mentioned here at all, but that's the word that we're using to express that in this context. And they're using VCR to grab, like, I guess, real things there. Now, the interesting thing here, yeah, they have a step, I fetch the GitHub contribution statistics, which runs the GitHub commits job, which is, again, separate from my other one here that works through the rate task. Oh, goodness me. So they even have a step.
Really?
This is like.
No, that's our step.
That's our step. How is that's? Oh no, that's our one. So their one, right? They don't. Right? They don't. Sorry. Yeah. They do it. They run this task.
And they use VCR.
Right. Well, I think previously they weren't using VCR, and we added it.
But they do have a step. Brian is a member of Project Website.
They do. Yeah.
You might want to use and take it out of our back of our step.
Right.
Do you want to do that or no?
I'm just thinking about consolidating these two things. I mean, although there's an extent to which this is not changes that we're proposing are not necessarily going to break this.
I think it's probably better for us not to consolidate it right now.
No. The thing that I wanted to refactor though more was in the app code. Was in the karma calculator. I've got a couple of. Sorry, this is just bothering me. This is like number of Hangouts with more than one participant. Number of Hangouts started bothers me that and here we've got the, like, clearly this method should be pulled inside the commit counts to be called total or something. And I guess if we're being rigorous about it, we should be writing a unit test for the model commit count spec, which here should be five total.
Sidetracked.
Well, I think, you know, we've got the repetition of that inject thing in 3 places, which is the it totals commits over all projects. It's build stub commit count. And expect object.
Okay. Well,
Total.
I would have thought just filing a ticket and moving on, but
well, you know, we could do that. I think. I don't know. I mean, we're just. I don't know. It's a judgment call in each case, isn't it?
I just thought we were trying to get this done. Like,
well, I don't know. I don't know. I've
be able to do other things and leave the refactoring to sit for a while.
Well, I mean, this one should be like.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway. It's got build stubbed commit count. And we've got, oh, there we go, factory record, create commit count, duplicate record. Why, oh, just lost my, what? I don't know, I guess I was on a, yes, like, I feel like having got the, what's it called, the comma out, you know, and then that's the key step. I'm not in a, you know, it now I'm like, part of what I said, rather than doing it as a spike, let's drive it from cucumber steps, is kind of thinking about the maintainability of the code base. So here I now want to look at the specs and the factories and look at the commit count on the factory.
I just thought you were in a rush to get out. Because you were wishing yesterday we had spent time.
Well, yeah, and we didn't, and that sort of time is, you know, yeah, I was more with you talking about this and kind of. I mean, I think I would have. I'm not in a rush now to push out the next bit so much. I'm kind of distracted by the piling up of the admin tasks and the idea that having got some basic karma thing out there, we could do some work on a few small little projects for the project metrics tracking. But I guess there's things like this. Like it's the kind of thing I hate, where you have a method name which
go.
Right.
Just want us to get this done.
Sure. But so here I'm stuck on I'm creating the factory girl commit count.
I just feel if we get this out quickly,
yeah,
explaining to people,
will be less indeed.
There'll be more better feedback.
Sure. Okay, yeah, no, that's right, because the total at the moment doesn't return anything. Okay. And the commit count there for one, it should be 369. Okay. And it's failing anyway. And the thing that I want is this. I want to go in not there, but in
Joseph-san tabeta.
食べたよ。これからもっと食べる。Still got the pipeline in there? I have not. Oh, okay.
Wonder how you would say Mr. Joseph already ate, like in the context of no, he's already ate.
ジョゼさんはもう食べたよ。
More?
More, as in, like...
Already, kind of?
Yeah. もうやった。もうした。That I did already.
What's the yo on the end?
That's like, it's like it's like sort of kind of a telling thing, as it's the asserting a statement as opposed to asking. So you can say もう食べたか? Which is did you eat already? Or もう食べたよ? Which is yes, I did eat already.
Okay. I don't remember learning yo, I just learned ka.
Right.
And if you don't have it on the end, it's kind of just
essentially more vague. Because you don't have to have the ka. If you just raise the tone at the end, it could be now this is
question.
Yeah. Now the funny thing is there.
Joseph-san tabeta could be interpreted as a question.
Yeah, indeed. Now the funny thing is here, so I've got the user model. I'm asking for the commit counts. Oh crap! Does it end up being like it's commit count singular? So actually,
Joseph-san, all right.
ジョゼさんは間違えた。ジョゼさんは間違えた。僕は間違えたっていうのが、これはコミットカウントのメソッドじゃなくて、これは users のrefactor する。It should be on the
using the English to Japanese.
Indeed.
Refactor.
Yes, that's right.
That means to refactor. Have
refactor する。So
they have a word for that already.
Well, you can just take. I have no idea particularly. I mean, you can take the English word and Japanese it.
Refactor.
Okay. So, well, I'm being frustrated by that testing thing, and I guess I now have to set up like a related set of thing for if I'm going to do it in this context. I have to have a user. I mean, this is the thing that I wonder is like, are do the unit tests bias anything at all?
I want to say yes. I mean, in theory, a unit test, if it's written rigorously, whenever it fails, you'll see a unit test fail, and that'll tell you, it'll localize it quickly.
Yeah.
That's the theory, right?
I guess there's a theory is that one, we'll see that fail faster. Two, that it'll help us factor our code more effectively.
Also, just for someone new to the project, that they run, if they break something, right?
Right.
They run the acceptance test set, and then they see something break, and then they run the specs. They'll see something related to that break.
Right.
And that'll tell them.
Right. Which assumes that the specs themselves are actually, building a domain that supports the specs themselves are saying sensible things about the domain.
Yeah, it has to be done. It has to be done sensibly and rigorously.
Yeah. Otherwise, it just ends up being another level of mess.
I feel like there was a point in local support where we had that kind of situation where every time an acceptance test failed, a spec failed. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Well, that's
very covered very well.
Yeah. I that's nice to hear. I never felt certain about that. And when I look back at the early local support code, I feel like there were, so many things that I now feel are inappropriate that kind of undermined that to some extent. I mean, I think, the fact, like, I now feel that the view specs and the controller specs are kind of redundant. I mean, I think there's also, is it just those two things? I think it's also, about compartmentalization, both in CSS and in the structure of the cucumber steps and many things. God. Yeah. Okay, so I've got commit count total in there. We've got the user spec here. We've got a user. I've created to the factory. I mean, and I'm just listening to Amanda talk about factories where, they're obviously trying to avoid this problem of fixtures, but I feel like they still introduce dependencies. So if I now want to have this user to have these commit counts, then I have to associate here, like, I want to create this commit count, but I want to associate the user
with it
to be that user.
I think you might need the ID, but yeah. The user underscore ID too in the factory. Yeah.
It's annoying that I can't jump from that to the appropriate factory, but the commit count thing here also is generating a
random number.
But the factory is setting the user and just like this. It feels like I need to override the actual commit count to be some value.
Yeah,
like,
you can
override 6.9 like that. Son of a gun. Okay, that hasn't done what I wanted.
So what are you doing? Creating a user, trying to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to create a user. here, who now, if as a user commit counts, they have none. So that, I guess, possibly because that actually needs to be let bang.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I'm not referring to the commit count thing. And so now user.commit counts. Yes. Total. Yes. Continue. Pass. Okay. And so, oh, for rigor, single commit count.
I mean, Armando teaches, you know.
He does teach. But you're going to say he teaches something in specific?
He teaches TDD and BDD and stuff and preaches class.
Uh-huh.
But we saw that when it came time to write the autograder, he didn't do that really.
Well, and he didn't write the autograder.
Well, he wrote a lot of it
in
the early stages.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true that I don't know to what extent. Yeah, the autograder components that he wrote were done like that. But certainly, you know, but also look at the trouble we're in with the autograder,
right?
As a consequence. I mean, I think at least here though, like I'm kind of feeling with this context with this thing, this refactoring is we're kind of improving the domain model here. And yeah, that's my story. What's this? It's 334. You know, and we're now saying that we can talk about a user having a commit count total. Oh, I don't want bug in there. For fuck's sake. Yeah, all right.
Should just stop telling you about books and concepts.
That's always an option.
No, I'm just reflecting because I pointed you towards the domain-driven model, domain-driven design and stuff, and now you're just always.
I'm now less like mentioning it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you hadn't mentioned it, I would be mentioning other things instead.
And then, yeah, and then I pointed you towards
don't stub what you don't own.
Yeah, and you mentioned that a lot.
Yeah. Now, why doesn't I've called it the same thing? Go on.
Did you finish reading that book by those London guys? Drawing Object-Oriented Software.
Yeah, I finished all of their theoretical stuff. The first part, I gave up on the like they had the rest of their thing was like a very detailed walkthrough of a lot of Java code, which I got like a third of the way through before I was like, ah. I mean, I think the interesting thing about that one is that
I have it, but I haven't read a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about don't stub what you own doesn't take into account the certain things that I think specific to Ruby and specific to RSpec. For example, about having the the ability to have the verifying doubles and so on. Like there we go. Anyway, that's done there.
Well, I think I mean, that's true, right? Don't stub what you don't own. But also, I think you're saying verifying doubles. That's to verify, you know, if the API changes, right?
Right, but that's the thing is one of the reasons for not stubbing what you don't own is because you won't get warned if it changes. And so verifying doubles removes one of the reasons. I mean, there's still the main point, which
the
is
other
like,
reason that the reason you should stop is to help drive the design, right?
right, and that you can't control the design of other things. So yeah, that still stands. Yes,
but that's if you believe that TDD has a design, and your name's not David Hannemeyer Hansen.
Right. Yes, indeed.
It has no,
I mean, it's, all of these, and the thing is, I'm particularly watching, I don't know, so many of these different heuristics for doing things in one way versus another are so removed from a situation where you could actually assess the actual impact of them, that it's kind of, to a certain extent, it's like who is able to, be most persuasive about which of these things should be being done. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, right. So now,
I mean, when they give talks at conferences and stuff, it's like always a toy example,
right? And then there's experience in real projects, and like, oh yeah, we used this with this project, had no tests and it went fine, but this one had no tests and it went fine, or what have you. I mean, it's okay. So this now should be that.
I guess that's interesting because, see, the thing is that normally all like the real app projects are all proprietary code.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of like apps at the complexity of website one that are open source necessarily. Any given language and framework.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the internals of the frameworks like Rails and so on are available.
But you do have some apps like blogging apps and stuff that people.
Yeah. And then things that get, I mean, that typo one that we had in the course.
Yeah. But to see like a somewhat substantial project out there in an open source format, it would be interesting if some of these people, like when they give talks, like turn to real open source projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, this blogging app," or even if they like mentioned us, you should totally convince Martin Fowler that.
Well, that's why I asked him. Yeah, that's why I'm hoping that having Nate
should come in and consult us, and then he won't even have to sign an NDA, and he could totally talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Point to code.
Well, I think if we become like a really successful mega community, then that's the kind of thing that will.
I'm sure he'll be right around and tell him he can consult us. And
yes.
Just write completely about it.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. So this is the annoying thing, that if I do these updates and the bloody this file,
tell us that we suck, and basically.
Unlike Charles, who said he looked at the code, his friend looked at the code and said it was really good.
Charles?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to.
You mean the salesman?
Yeah. No, but he has a coding friend who he says that he looked at, and so this is saying like unexpected keyword end.
Okay. Something. Did you change anything? Go get the. Let's see.
Well, I've got here. I've just changed it so that these two things both now. Okay. I've got a trailing. I think I found the issue. There's a trailing curly bracket. There we go. Okay. Oh. And now I think this is probably also, we've got the specs. For some reason, the specs are failing for the show. And show HTML ERB geocaching does not clock show user commit counts dot total. Am I still referring to total there somewhere? No, that's changed. Collection proxy. User RB comma calculator. I thought I changed that already. Why is the comma? I guess the comma calculator is being hit as part of the view spec because maybe the factory girl operation on the user when it's creating the user. Oh, come on. That no longer refers to that. I've saved that and I've changed that. Are you still stuck on the previous code? What's going on? Okay, here. So let's run precisely this one. La, la, la. Here we go. Okay, I've got commits, counts, total. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we're behind the times.
In which sense?
Well, I mean, microservices became the hot word in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like 2 years later, we're thinking about doing it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we totally, like, there's an extent to which even the beginning of the course, like Armando, they talk about, like building a system in terms of microservices. And what we did was we built a number of projects that were all monoliths.
Right.
But I mean, it's partly there's an extent to which the course talks about certain things and it's not reflected.
Yeah, it's not reflected in
what actually happens in the course, because in the course you basically work with monoliths and you build monoliths, and
right.
And then the example, like the code, we talk about having, trying to avoid complexity in the controller, but then the example solutions for the Rails assignment that, for the controller that you see in the following things have like a really long, messy controller method. I mean, I think that the whole course, aspires. I mean, similarly with the autograder thing and whatever, and fails in various places. I mean, but I think, the heart's in the right place.
I mean, a course can mention more advanced topics without, thoroughly covering them.
Yeah, but this is different. This is the course is sort of saying, we're going to show you some of the best practices and so on, this, that, and the other. And I think that there is a mismatch between what it's saying it's showing, and what some of the code that's on display does. And I think that that's partly due to a communication issue that happens. And I've seen it in other academic institutions, is the professor wants things to go a certain way and they give an instruction to, a TA or what have you. And then the reality is something different. But yeah. Anyway, so that's all there. I guess potentially at this point, I can now do the thing which is what you wanted me to do, which is like check for the presence of the image rather than it having the word comma there.
Martin Fowler's microservices guide.
Yeah.
Everything that he wrote about them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the thing is that people don't normally set out to just, like day one, we're going to do microservices right now.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, people still build a monolith and like build their company around that monolith and quickly iterate, and then start to break things into services.
I'm skeptical that we know what people usually do. So anyway, this is all working. So, and I come back to the activities feature. So, I mean, the simplest thing here is if I'm going to change this to the thing, I mean, it's like, should we be coding this to check for whether it says the comma or the symbol?
You mean that in a deep sense, that we're skeptical that we know what people do, like in general, or do you mean?
Well, I mean, I think that there's, like we can be looking at different companies. Like, I mean, Facebook and this. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm scared. I'm like, there's a lot of talk about how things are, but who's actually in a position to really survey what really goes on behind the scenes in, like most people have experience of, a small integer number of companies, right?
Right.
But so here, like rather than Karma, we could, and then the place to go to is the user list. We have the fire icon, which looks.
Well, I think the argument for doing it that way, at least, is that it's quicker to build the monolith.
Yeah, I mean,
and then as it's needed, you break it up.
Yeah. Well, that's clearly the approach that we're sort of pursuing.
I'll say I think that's a common approach.
There we go. So we have the icon.
Rather than. Do you want to test it? Did you test it?
No, because I don't think I want. I don't think I want to.
Really, you're a naughty person.
Well, or I think it's, I could check that we're showing that icon, but like that seems to me like a aspect of the interface that might change, and we can only. I mean, I could check for the presence of that HTML,
Okay.
right?
Oh, go on. Just keep.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I was going to do here was see if I could speed us forward a little bit of. I mean, next. It comes down to what do we want to see next,
right?
And so in the detail thing here, like, I guess in principle, what have we got? Contributions, and then so what have we got? So we've got a section there.
It's kind of the same with what Armando's proposing with Project Scope. They tried to build a monolith first, and I mean, it collapsed under its own weight.
Well, or I think it was. I mean, go on.
Due to just sheer inability to code.
Well, and it's. I mean, I think for even with the Berkeley students, who are obviously all capable individuals, like in a semester, there's only so much of the stuff that you can learn,
and then actually do it.
Right. Now, I guess see if I user contributions. See, the problem here is like I want to have like actually this is contributions. It's the GitHub things. I don't know. I'm just sticking there. So that we've got. I guess we've got contribute. No, maybe not do it that way. But so if it's going to be, we've got an H4 contributions. That's kind of like. I mean, rather than contributions, that's kind of like it's contributions GitHub, isn't it?
Yeah, GitHub contributions.
Yeah, I mean that's going to break some tests and things. But so then, yeah, maybe this is the I don't know.
And then the next thing could be pairing sessions successfully hosted.
And of course, it's we've got contributions hangouts. So this is going to be
hosted.
Yeah. I mean, we've got this number of hangouts started with more than one participant. Yeah, I think I'm going to get a cup of tea. I'm going to get a cup of tea and come back to this in a moment.
Okay. there? Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Hey.
Right.
Hello?
Hey.
I just had an idea.
Go on.
Microservices is kind of still a bit of a buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that there's really no, I guess there's really, there's a bunch of new books coming out, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to do research. I feel like a lot of books that are out right now, microservices, just talk at like a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know the book implementing domain-driven design?
Yeah, you recommended it to me, and I started reading it as a result.
You know how that has like very specific projects it talks about in code and stuff?
Uh-huh.
Like in the context of specific examples?
Yeah, it tries to be, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking that if we learn about microservices by doing them with Armando and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
we could write a book called Implementing Microservices that basically
Mm-hmm.
uses like real
The real examples.
examples from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there would be a market for that probably.
Yeah.
People interested in seeing real
That sounds cool.
code and how somebody worked out microservices.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I was asking John how Agile Ventures could actually help. You know, I mean, he's I think that there's people like John and Brian who I've got a couple of years industry experience under their belts now.
Yeah.
I would like Agile Ventures to be supporting them. John said, the key thing for him is to learn more about microservices.
Really?
Yeah.
He was telling me that they were trying to move towards that.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, independent of whether we call it microservices or whatever. I'm just sold on the idea of having a lot of smaller projects that are easier for people to onboard onto.
Okay. Because I remember like a year ago, you were dead set against that.
Even 3 months ago. But I mean, I think, I'm definitely frustrated with the way in which Website One communicates with Agile Bot, because that seems to me over engineering of something, and other things to do with the way the interfaces are handled make it difficult to debug when things go wrong.
Yeah,
but those are I think that they are, those things are not. I'm convinced now that it's not an argument against microservices in general. It's just an argument about how microservices are being implemented in that particular part of the system.
Well, that could go in.
Indeed, absolutely. Well, the interesting thing is yeah, I mean, and then Armando was saying,
start drafting it right now.
I mean, well, I've got kind of like a book that I'm co-authored with, like the instructor's manual.
Yeah,
is one thing. I mean, Armando just mentioned this thing about Udemy, and I mean, the interesting thing about anything like that is, should it be a book? Should it be a MOOC? Should it be, what's the best mechanism to?
It'd be everything. Milk them.
Yeah.
Should totally be a book. It should be a MOOC. It should be a Udemy course.
Right. Indeed. So for better or for worse, I mean, go on.
More lucrative potentially.
Well, it's as you were on, well, and we've got 2 viewers. We're moving slowly up the tail of internet, dross. As we were discussing yesterday with the Grand Theft Auto, the mechanism by which you actually, make a living out of these things. Mm-hmm. Give me a second, I'm just eating the rest of the cake. Okay. All right. Give an Englishman tea. That's the thing.
Should be a video game too.
Indeed. Gamified.
Implementing microservices in the game.
Yeah.
And it could be a comedy where you're very cynical.
So for better or for worse, I'm pulling out these concepts into the user model.
That could be a comedy, not just microservices, IT in general. It could be a video game about that.
Have you seen the IT Crowd?
It's a TV show, right? I haven't really.
Yeah, in the UK. I think it's quite funny.
Have you seen Silicon Valley?
No. Is that a show?
Yes.
No, I haven't seen that at all. Is that a new show?
Not bad, no. It's a couple years old.
Well, new for me then.
It's an HBO show in the US.
Right.
It's a comedy almost. So it is like a comedy.
Huh.
It's like making fun of modern Silicon Valley and
Right.
all of its pretensions.
Yes. Oh, cool.
Like the opening scene is like they're at some party in some billionaire's house. And the guy's like, look around, there's Kanye West.
Yes.
And other than me and you, he's the poorest dude in here.
Right.
We're all like, it's like that dude over there just sold his startup for $500 million.
Right. Indeed. Oh, the dream. So I guess I wondered, do we have an event instance factory? We do, and it has some participants in it. And we've got like an N there. Okay. That looks ready to go. So this is now filling there with a nil. And I can then potentially extract this from here, stick it in here.
Yeah, the first episode is actually titled Minimum Viable Product.
Cool. Oh, well, I'll have to, is that on, I'll have to see if that's on Amazon Prime, actually.
No, it's not on Prime, I don't think.
Well, we've already established that what's on Prime in the US is different from what's on Prime in the...
I would be very surprised if it was on Prime in the UK.
Well, they've got Game of Thrones on Prime.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It is then.
I mean, I probably would have seen it advertised if it is there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Context to end. Come on. Thank you. Context. Single event instance. Yeah, I mean, there are other refactorings here that I will not do. You'll be pleased to hear.
Great.
But that I will make tickets for at some point, or I will blog about them. I don't know. There's something weird about just the whole Rails thing. There's something weird about being attached to these databases so strongly.
Oh, definitely. It's evil.
like the whole like RSpec and design and everything seems to be, to me,
a raging monolith.
well, it seems to be like there's all
by database.
Well, the database ties you to a certain thing. It's, you know, the whole idea of evolving this domain is this idea that you can just sort of like create new objects and sort of populate them and split them up and so on, what have you. And when you're tied to a database layer, it's just not as flexible. So we end up thinking like here, like, so the user ends up getting more and more. I mean, I guess ultimately that, like, this one has to be here, right? This is it's an operation over that array of things. This one, yeah, actually, and this one has to be there too. Anyway, so
I think
that's
Uncle Bob Martin railed against that a while ago.
Which thing did he rail against?
The database.
Right.
And it being like the central focus of your app.
I think you're right. Maybe I think he was also railing against the Rails app of being the focus being on the app and telling you these things and not on the business. I mean, he seemed to be really going for saying, like, you know, the domain description should be front and center.
He was like, I wrote a wiki software that was all flat files as the database. And then
right.
in a matter of a day, we just switched it out to
right.
like a actual SQL database.
Right. I think I remember him. I think we saw the same talk. Yeah. But so I guess in this, like, we could be listing all of the Hangouts that the person was in, but we're probably maybe sensibly not going to do that.
Now, DHH rails against that.
He thinks we should have the database.
Well, he thinks he should be tied to Rails, and people.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think there's an argument also, like, if you want to get stuff done, then you need to see parts of the implementation.
He was like, well, you know, I've heard arguments that we should build it. It was in response. There was a while ago, there was this idea going around that you should build a domain model independently.
Right.
And then plug it into some framework. And that kind of goes against the Rails way of doing it.
Right.
And he was like, so suppose I'm making a store app. He's like, when am I ever going to like want to switch that out? I guess he says, like, I guess plausibly you might want to put it on a console app to run on a cash register.
Right.
But are we actually going to do that? And is that worth?
Yeah. There's definitely, I mean, I think there's a lot of anticipating things that you might want to do that you actually quite often don't want to do. And that can be quite dangerous.
Okay, so
anyway, here I've got like contributions from Hangouts there. So like the next
Hangouts successfully started or successfully.
Well, it's Hangouts. I mean, yeah, there's more information there. I mean, it's contributions Hangouts. I mean, there's kind of like,
I would say contributions Hangouts hosted or something, you know.
Yeah.
The way people know.
That's better. Yeah.
Or successfully hosted, but whatever.
Well, I think the thing I just want to get in here is contributions from, I guess we've got, where's the bloody karma calculator gone? So we've got this thing here. It's there's user authentications. I mean, I guess it's probably a good time to pong it over to you, really, in as much as I should. Hey, I thought I did. Well, I won't stick that in. Like, I'll just leave it there as Hangouts posted. And then I guess the addition to this is I should see. So for this to work, I mean, that contribution is, it's got to have the the two things there. Let's say GitHub. Hangouts hosted. And then, so there's a, I mean, I guess the simplest one for here is to just do it like that and see if that works. I mean, the thing with this, really, probably that should go to the top. But I guess it's, you know, because otherwise people are going to see that and they don't want to notice the one underneath. Yeah, so that's passing. I guess I'm going to pass that over to you then. So this is refactors methods from Karma calculator and activity view into user model adds Hangouts hosted to activity page. I mean, yeah, git push origin. 1, 2. What up, 2 viewers? Hey, our 2 viewers. Hope you're enjoying the show. Yeah, I mean, this is already by itself. It's a, you know, it's an improvement by there could be a single pull request. Clearly, we could start sticking more of these for the other stuff. What's your appetite now? If I'm ponging to you for a next step,
Keep going.
Yeah, we've got like a half an hour before the scrum. Yeah, throw some more stuff in there.
Okay. If I go peek at the Karma calculator, right?
Yeah, the Karma. But basically, I mean, the other things that we've got in there are authentications, all the different elements of the profile completeness, and there's activity and the other bits and pieces. I mean, I kind of like I'm showing it all. It's kind of raw. Anyway.
So you get 100 points for each authentication, right?
At the moment, yeah.
Okay. How do we want to expose like the fact that they're synced or not synced?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you could just the simplest way, and maybe this is a sensible thing, like to finish it off, is you could just say contributions authentications, and you could do the number of authentications times 100 equals whatever, and in the first instance, not expose like the deep, like for each of these next things, we could be exposing, as we do for the GitHub commits, the sub elements. Like the GitHub commits shows all of the different things. I mean, the Hangouts thing could then tell you the number of Hangouts that you've hosted with 4 people in and 3 people in and 2 people in, or what have you. And the authentications could show you GitHub and G+, and then the, oh Christ, what is it? The profile completeness could show you what have you. But I guess if we kind of sketch out and get one line for each of the headline things and get that out, we can then do the the sub headings, each as their own separate what have you. You know what I'm saying.
I suppose that's marginally more. Agile.
I would like to think so. Come on, right.
There we go. So if we just hard code it, let's see if I can just hard code it.
Good starting position.
Passive. And then where are we? Oh, in the karma calculator. $100. Oh.
Yeah, that's looking good.
I think right away people are going to want to know what that means. Authentications necessarily.
No, they're just totally not. I mean, all of these things could have tooltips on them or whatever.
What is it? Presenter.
Yeah.
User. Presenter.user. Maybe I'll work on it tonight or something. Just to.
Sure.
Oh, what are you doing? What are we actually getting?
One authentications times 100.
Oh, really?
I think it's like the user has got one authentication, presumably created in the background step and what have you.
Okay. So it should be times 100, right? One, pass. There you go. We passed.
Cool.
Now what? We go in here and we expose. Bio. Last name.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could go through that each one at a time, or I mean, maybe you'll hate me for it. it almost seems there like a profile completeness could be a method on the user, right? Like this method is doing this sum, and it's like calculating, it's like we're asking the user about all these things. So it would be a simpler method if it was
just broken up
and was on the user as a public thing that anybody could ask about a user. What's your profile completeness? And then we could have a single line in the thing saying, you know, profile completeness.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll do that, what you're suggesting.
Okay.
And then we need a spec, right?
Yeah, I mean if we follow the, I mean, it's an interesting question there, what the pros and cons of creating the spec for that. I mean, we're effectively, that was a sort of, it was a private method, and we're moving it into a public method on the user model. So you could follow the examples of the two things I did on the bottom there.
What are you saying?
I'm saying, like, I just did those two specs there.
So create it with last name, Johan, first name, York. And what is bio? Just,
I think it's that text thing that you have, this description. I mean, you could just create the default user and.
Oh, does he have everything, or just
It really has some subset of the things, but that's a reasonable test of the method, isn't it?
I guess. Come on, quickly. Let's roll this out.
Yeah, that's sort of right there, isn't it?
Calculate. Go over here and plop it on the model. Users. That's the views. Okay. Wait. How did I just They have authentication.
Yeah, it's sort of built into that. Well, I think probably the thing to do there is to split out the
authentication.
Yeah, like profile completeness. I mean, we kind of thrust the authentications in there. We can make that a separate, method on user or what have you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean the profile complete. I mean, I would carry on doing what you're doing, and we'll just.
So this part would be awarded equals
User.profile completeness.
right.
I mean, ultimately, we could use like the forwardable thing to like basically have the karma calculator pass all those things directly on without redirects.
Define method or method user. Do I? Really? Why is that missing?
I think you've got an additional user that you don't want in the user method on the model.
Where?
Yeah. Line 1, 2, 3. You've got user.last name present.
Oh, gotcha. Right, it was there, on the stack. Expected 0, but got 6, so we'll just code that. To equals 6. And do we want to change this name and everything or no?
Change the name
Of the karma calculator method.
Oh, from profile completeness to something else?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be neat. I mean, I would say no at the moment.
Okay. And then we do features. We go back to activities. Run that again. Okay, go away. Do not disturb. So that passed. And I should see contributions, profile, completeness. 1. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's probably going to be like 0, but anyhow.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We're going to obviously depend on what's at.
Copy that. There we go. We'll hard code that. Make sure that's passing. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll actually turn on
The reference to presenter and so on. Yeah, sounds good.
what?
I'm just saying the same thing you're thinking. Don't worry, don't mind me.
So what does the presenter have on it?
You can just do presenter.user.profile completeness, right?
Yeah, I mean we can do that. Just using it up. Presenter.user.profile completeness. There we go. I guess he's got a first and last name at least. Okay, let's see. What has he got? Sex. He's got a sex. Maybe we should be indicating to people what their maximum profile completeness would be.
Sure.
What do you think? What's the maximum that this thing can puke out?
It's 10, I think.
Right. So what we'll do is 10. Again?
Mm-hmm.
Is that good?
Is that all green? You want to view it in the view how it looks in the browser?
Wow. I don't really have good enough data in my thing.
Okay. Okay.
Like production.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, I mean, you can push it. I've got production data locally. Yeah, I mean, you could push it to me. I guess then, I mean, the other thing that it could show is the two other things, which is like the activity and the what's it? I mean, you could push it to me and I'll finish that up. Yeah, the thing that they're taking up cognitive load on me is one, not having addressed that certain autograders issues. I guess it's going to have to be tomorrow. And God, I've spent a good couple of hours today trying to manage, not actually even reviewing the feedback issues from the users, but on the pair programming, thanks. But just trying to get it all into Pivotal Tracker so that other people can have a look at it. I guess I've got it started, haven't I? Okay, so I'm in the right thing. So then I have to get pull origin 1228. So okay, so we can have a look at what that looks like for me now.
Marvel and Fox have announced a joint X-Men TV series.
Who've announced that?
Marvel and Fox.
Cool. Is Fox the one that Fox owns the X-Men? Or is that that's Sony?
Fox owns the rights to X-Men in film.
Right, and
Marvel
to
them and everything else, like books and comics.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so that we could have a X-Men versus Avengers in the TV series.
And there's been a fight between Marvel wants back X-Men. Years ago, they sold the rights, so they wouldn't.
Indeed, I know the story well. So here, this is looking good. I mean, I guess that there's like the times. I guess we had 10 out of 10. Yeah. So yeah, to knock out the last bit, we could be saying, and I should see contributions from. So what else is it? It's going to be. We call them user age in months. Now, what is it? No, membership length. Membership length and sign-in activity. So membership length and sign in activity. Okay. And so that's going to be out of 6 is the membership length, and activity is also out of 6. So it's going to be, we'll just put like zeros in there. And that would fail. And then the detail. So we're going to have 2 more sections. So so this is going to be, what did I just call these? Membership length. And sign in activity. And so I guess we've also got here, I mean, I guess I'll just put those to zeros, just 6s. These are effectively other things that we need to, if we want to refer to them easily, we need to extract them out of the karma calculator and have them be like, these things are again all kind of related to user. But so, yeah, user activity, user membership length. So, right. And I guess then we've got this other thing about this being undefined. Is that, do you just want to look in the background? Is there a simple way that we can change it so that this actually, you know, opens this tab? Maybe this was working at one point and stopped working. Do you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I have no idea why it's not working.
No, sure. But you could look up Bootstrap, you know, tab pane selections. But there's probably something we need to define in order to make it work. See, like there's a href link to activity.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like the link works. It just doesn't work. So we could link the page. It's like the user page thing could link to here, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, getting distracted. Okay, so I've got that parsing there.
And it's just
for those things. Go on.
When they click it, it acts weird.
Yeah, that's a separate bug. You could file a ticket for that. I don't know. Okay, but so yeah, I have to, basically what I need to do is that we need to have activity and membership length need to be aspects on the user in order to talk about it. So we need to go to the user spec. And so so activity membership length. I calculate.
Throw that feature in right now.
Yeah, I mean, if
from the member page.
Yeah, that would round this out nicely.
Link it to the karma icon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And all you'd have to do is just go to the page and click on that icon for that member, which they're
right.
going on.
Yes.
Then you should see all those things all over again.
Yeah, yeah. What's this? So I'm saying this is on 356.
Tabetoyo.
Say again?
Joseph-san Tabetoyo. Joseph-san, tabita yo.
Tabita no. You can also say no or ka. They both can be interrogative. But if you say tabita yo, hi, tabita yo.
Yo is like a statement of fact, right?
Yeah. But if it's about somebody, it's usually you would be making a statement about what you've done.
Oh.
Like
it's about someone else.
I mean, if you were saying it to someone else, you'd say, like I don't know, Michael-san wa tabeta ne? If you're seeking agreement from someone else, you would say ne at the end.
What if you're just stating it as like a fact?
Just tabeta. Well, and then you might say tabeta desho. I mean,
Tabita sho. Sure.
Desho. I mean, that's still sort of slightly questioning. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, you just say like Joseph-san wa. If the person was not there, you'd say Joseph-san wa tabeta. Like you're just describing that they've done something. That you just say like that. And so the activity. So now.
Joseph-san no ino wa.
No, inu.
Ino. Joseph-san no ino wa. Tabita.
Kana.
Tabita yo. Tabita no.
Yeah, I mean, you could. And if you're talking about something, tabita yo, you could say that the dog has eaten. Yeah, I'm telling you, look, he ate. Come on, dude. The dog ate. Don't give me grief about the dog.
So you can say Michael-san.
Yeah.
You can just say.
Well, it's good because they reverse the order of they have their surnames first. So if you're a foreigner, it's like whatever.
So I would say Joseph Samson, which would mean Mr. Samuel Joseph.
Right.
Mr. Joseph's dog already ate.
It's it's remarkable the number of things that you can now say in Japanese.
I'll forget them all by tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what happens. And then the signing characters. Okay, so I've rehooked that up to the
cat.
Say again.
How do you say a cat?
Neko.
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 So how do you say that? Like, how do you say that you ate something specific? It's tabemas. Taberu, right?
Well, I say like you say like udon, like udon wo tabeta.
Udon wa tabeta.
No, this is wo. So if you're saying like if you can say udon wa tabeta, but that meant like it's making udon the topic of the conversation. But if you want to say that you ate the udon noodles, then you kind of want to say udon wo. It's like wo instead of wa. Udon wo tabeta.
Udon wo tabeta.
Yeah.
That means I ate.
Well, it means
somebody
ate.
ate.
Usually, I mean, there's you go. Watashi wa udon wo tabeta. Regarding myself, the udon was something that I consumed.
But if I were just to say, udon wo tabeta, you'd probably take it to mean that I ate it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's the thing that's sort of frustrating in Japanese is that, like, you basically kind of have to be very sensitive to just what it usually means. So they often leave off the thing and they'll just say the verb, assuming that you can understand the context of everything. And
so it's kind of like saying the noodles were eaten.
Yeah. Udon wa tabeta. Yeah, I mean, the udon wa tabeta is you would, whether you ate them personally or somebody else ate them, you could say udon wa tabeta.
Like, where are the noodles? Like, some mother made noodles and then she walked in and they were gone. You could just say,
udon wa tabeta ne. Yeah, and then you can have a series of interrogative tonal ways of saying it and to interrogate the people to. Anyway, it's the scrum time, so I'm going to stop this.
Find out who exactly ate the noodles.
Indeed, the case of the missing noodles. I'll see you in the scrum.